a world where crossover breakers has started to change the entire game, we have an entire new set of meta results. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out more awesome content. The 189th Next Play event has come to a close here. And, I love getting the chance to talk about these. There's some weeks where, the results aren't even really worth looking at here. But this is so much more different. For those of you that don't know, Malice and Riziol just made their debut this weekend in the OCG. And Malice has been tearing it up. Like, Malice is doing a fantastic job at being this huge deck that everybody wants to play. The combo ceiling is so insanely large with the deck. It's genuinely kind of interesting to see, these M boards that you're able to make with this pile as you're comboing up through these lines. And I think that's awesome, man. Like, it really is. Now, the next challenger sitting next to it has been the Rank 4 Turbo Reziol deck. Now, for those of you that have not been paying attention to Reziol out here, this deck has... I got a chance to play against it on my birthday stream, and its boards are pretty disgusting. Alright, like, being able to have an archetype named Hole card for you to be able to use, also being able to, basically, every time your opponent does something, pop one of the pieces on their field, not once per turn, and then, you have the field spell for the critical negate when you actually need it. It's got a lot more stuff than you would initially be thinking about that this deck has access to shut down your opponent. Like, it's actually devastating how crazy that this deck actually is at performing out here. Now, the rest of your event, so that was just 8 of your participants. We also had 2 Voiceless Voice. These could have been versions of the deck that were including the Ryuji. It depends, honestly, but I wouldn't be surprised to see that be the case. We also had 2 Centurion. Centurion's kind of returned back to being this very good, casual, friendly pick right now. They don't have King Calamity and things like that, but the deck does some really fun interactions that you're able to do. Snake Eyes. Isn't it really weird seeing Snake Eyes kind of struggling out here with the evolving meta? Could it be power creep? Yeah, it is, unfortunately. We also had 2 Unchained versions, floatability at its finest. We also did have 2 Bahamut Sharks, so basically 2 water turbo decks. We also had 2 Tenpai players. Ignorant Turbo still functioning out here, that hasn't changed. And then we had 1 Memento, 1 Fire King, and 1 Stun variant out here at the end of the day, so that's your overall participation. Now, your top cut. Whoo-wee! We got a different story out here than I bet most of you are used to seeing. Both Tenpai players came out of the woodwork out here and smashed into the competition out here. Like, good job, actually. Really happy to see that Tenpai was able to smash down the door and go, "What's up?" It's still doing fantastic things, but okay. We also had our 1 Voiceless Voice player clear on into top cut. Unfortunately, we don't really have much to look at for the Voiceless Voice turnover for this event, but that's fine. But also only 1 Malice. That's a terrible conversion rate out here. All of those Malice players that were chugging along in this event, that were like, "Oh, there's all 5 of us, like we're gonna do great." Nah, they did not do great. They actually got blown out of the water quite early on, which is kind of insane to be seeing. Flamberge Dragon still managed to make a top. Gosh darn it, Dragon. Fire King's still doing well out here. Remember, if you have Ukulonyx, all the Azamina stuff, you're a very competent deck. You can do quite the amazing things out here. Unchained also got 1 variation of the deck into top cut. And you do see up here that one of our Reziel duelists was able to make it into the top cut. The crazy part about that Reziel duelist was, guess what? Dun-dun-dun-dun! Reziel ended up winning the event. So, when you're kind of looking at your turnover conversion rate here, 1 to 3 to winning the entire event means that somebody figured out how to play the deck. Rank 4 Turbo is extremely good. Overall, your top cut, it's interesting to see how these new decks have slotted in here and how they are finding their place in the course of the meta. You know what I mean? Let's pass on over to those deck lists. Winning our event here is the power of Reziel. And one of the first things you're going to notice is this build opted for 2 field spell. Now, from what I've genuinely read across the board from a lot of players is, you know, you don't really need to be dedicating huge numbers to the field spell. Most people were very confident with playing 1 field spell. I do think actually having that extra one of in the deck really does help out consistency. And you've also got to remember, we just had a successful version out of last week playing 3 field spells. So I think field spell might be one of the best cards in your deck. Now, keep in mind, look at your Ring 4 utility box right here. Ragna 0, Baguska. You have to play the 104 for the reveal target so that, you know, you can actually do the Tachyon search to get to your starter. This deck has so many ways to get to its pieces. Abyssal or Tornado Dragon, Exciton. It's nice to see the toolbox options actually mattering right now for this. Also, this side deck is disgusting. Wholly evenly matched for going second, like Red Reboot. Ugh. Yeah, okay. Getting second place is actually our Malice Duelist. So both of the new decks were able to kind of climb up out of the woodwork out here and showcase fantastic results, in my personal opinion. Malice, this deck, you know, having the Bice deals in here to be extenders for you to kind of continue up through and put that pressure on your opponent is actually fantastic. This deck has been dubbed, you know, the Firewall Pass. I will also say, though, it is nice to see that this deck is playing the Access Code Talker. Some of the very early builds were not playing the Access Code Talker, and it kind of amazes me because, like, it's a free banish when your Link 3s, pay 900, put it back on the field. Like, why would you not want to have that? Like, that kind of amazes me. I also do see, because you are getting to play some of the other interesting little options in the extra deck, Ultimate Slayer becomes a natural target for this deck as something for you to want to consider playing out here. So Malice really going through the interesting evolution picks out here for what this deck is able to do in the course of the meta. Now, moving on down here. Look! Flamber's Dragon and Friend. Yeah. Fiendsmith with the good stuff. I will tell you, it's also kind of interesting to see that Fiendsmith has cut the other engraver from the deck. They're just like, you know, screw the consistency side of this. We don't need this garbage. You know, like having the one Scarlet Sorrow is kind of like the same thing because she dumps the other engraver out of the deck. So, you know, if you're playing the Desiree, which this build is not playing the Desiree, it's also interesting. The OCG has gone so far away from Desiree. Like, the TCG's looking at Desiree and we're like, this is pretty good. You know, like, it's a nice little clutch card for us to kind of do the thing. Yeah, also, Snake Eye is starting to get bullied to the point, like, they have to play Summon Limit right now to try to slow down the game so that they can play. Like, what in the world has actually happened out here to this meta? Like, the power creep is really starting to ramp up out here, and it is not good for our favorite meta friends. And then, of course, good old Tenpai Dragons, man. You know, you look at this deck and you're like, oh, yeah, the standard one Fadra, double Genro Kuja so you can keep up the deployment. You know, we have the one field spell, so, you know, can't really deal with the crazy search ability. This build has even gone so far as to actually play a Red Reboot in the main deck, and I feel so disgusted seeing that because that is so broken that you're able to do that. You're also going to notice, is that Clara and Rushka in the extra deck? Yes, it is. I actually believe that this deck has gotten Secret Village locked so much at this point that this duelist has had to look at Clara and Rushka as an option to be able to play the game. You can't make that kind of stuff up. Like, that's the reason why we look at, like, these tech choice decks and just kind of see some of the dumb stuff that's been going on with that. But that truly is hilarious to be seeing out here. So, what do you guys think about this? Please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here later today, guys. patrons. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.